In this world we live in, we're just bombarded. It's a constant stream of information, of what we should be doing, of what everyone else is doing. It's a whole lot of noise. But what if? What if you could cut right through all of that? What if you could find the signal, the thing that actually, truly drives you toward real success and happiness? Well, today, that's exactly what we're going to dig into. We're going to look at the science of how to do just that.
So, let's dive right in with a problem that I'm guessing feels pretty familiar to a lot of us. It's that quiet little hum of anxiety that kind of lives in our pockets and on our screens.
You know the feeling, right? That little ping, you pick up your phone and you start scrolling. And right away, that whisper of self-doubt kicks in. It's this feeling that somehow everyone else is out there living a life that's just a little bit faster, a little brighter, a little better than yours.
Well, there's actually a name for this feeling: FOMO, the fear of missing out. It's that constant nagging anxiety that keeps us glued to our phones, always comparing our real, messy lives to someone else's perfectly polished highlight reel. And all that chatter, what other people are doing, what they have, who they're with, this is the noise we're talking about. It's this powerful, distracting force that's constantly pulling our focus away from what actually satisfies us on the inside. And get this noise, it isn't just in your head. It has a real, physical effect on us. Behavioral health studies show that when we're too connected, our cortisol levels, that's our main stress hormone, they go up. And at the same time, our serotonin, which helps keep our mood stable, it goes down. So it's literally messing with our brain chemistry.
So if that's the problem, what on earth is the solution? Well, it turns out the answer isn't to do more or to be louder. It's to find a totally different, much quieter kind of power.
And here it is. The direct antidote to FOMO is something called JOMO. And just look at how the entire frame shifts. It goes from a fear of what you're missing out on to the actual joy you can find in the things you choose to be present for. I just love this description. JOMO isn't about being a hermit or cutting yourself off from the world. No way. It's about freedom. It's that conscious choice to say, you know what? I'm stepping away from the noise so you can reconnect with your own priorities. It's about finding peace right where you are instead of always chasing what's happening somewhere else.
Now this is where it gets really interesting. Let's take this idea, this battle between the distracting noise and the meaningful signal, and see how it plays out in the professional world, specifically when it comes to leadership.
We have this image of a leader, right? They're supposed to be loud, bold, always promoting themselves. That's the noise. But there's a much more powerful, more effective alternative: quiet confidence. And that's the signal. It's not about being the loudest person in the room. It's about showing self-assurance through being humble, authentic, and genuinely good at what you do. And think about it. Leaders who have this quiet confidence, they build way more trust because they're not all about themselves. They empower their teams by making room for other people to shine. They tend to have higher emotional intelligence, and they create environments where innovation can actually happen because everyone feels safe enough to contribute. So why does all this work so well? Why does choosing JOMO and quiet confidence feel so much, better than getting caught up in FOMO and loud self-promotion? Turns out there's a really solid psychological theory that explains everything.
It's called self-determination theory, or SDT for short. And at its core, SDT is all about what makes us tick. It's about the motivation behind the choices we make when there's no outside influence. It suggests that every single one of us is wired for growth, and that growth happens when we meet a few core psychological needs.
So what are these needs? SDT breaks it all down into 3 universal parts that are absolutely essential for our mental health and our well-being.
And get this, according to the theory, our motivation, our happiness, it's all built on just 3 universal needs. Simple as that. When we satisfy them, we thrive. When we don't, we really struggle. So here they are. First, we have autonomy. That's the desire to feel like you're the one in the driver's seat of your own life. Second is competence, the need to feel effective, capable, like you know what you're doing. And third is relatedness, which is that fundamental will to connect with and care for other people. Now think about it, the noise of FOMO and needing everyone else's approval, it just crushes all 3 of these. But the signal of JOMO and quiet confidence, it feeds them directly. This idea is so powerful, it even explains how we handle motivation that comes from the outside. SDT shows us how we can take an external reason for doing something and make it our own. We can actually move from being externally regulated, which is when we feel forced, all the way over to integrated regulation, where that external goal lines up perfectly with our own personal values.
And that shift, that magic happens when that external motivation supports our deep needs for autonomy, competence, and relatedness.
Okay, the theory is fantastic, but how do we actually do this? How do we consciously choose the signal over the noise in our day-to-day lives? Let's walk through 5 concrete steps to build that quiet confidence.
Okay, number 1, embrace self-awareness and authenticity. When you know who you are and you're true to yourself, you are directly feeding your need for autonomy. 2, develop competence and expertise. The better you get at what you do, the more you satisfy that crucial need for competence. 3, practice active listening and empathy. This builds real, strong connections and directly fulfills our fundamental need for relatedness. 4, embrace humility and learn from your failures. Seeing failure as a chance to grow feeds your sense of competence, and it builds trust, which strengthens relatedness. And finally, number 5, lead by example. When you live these values, you create a space that helps everyone around you meet their own core needs. So you see, the point is building quiet confidence isn't just about faking it till you make it. It's about creating a system that fulfills our deepest psychological needs.
So at the end of the day, it all comes down to a choice. The noise of what everyone else thinks will always be there. It's always going to be shouting for our attention. But the signal, our own internal drive for autonomy, for competence, and for connection, that is what leads to real, genuine success and well-being. So the only question left is, which one will you choose to follow?